Venezuela was once one of the wealthiest countries in South America. However, this is no longer the case. Venezuela has been in an economic crisis since 2010, and they need our help. A 2025 World Report article on Venezuela states over 20 million Venezuelans live in multidimensional poverty and have inadequate access to goods and services, including foods and essential medicines. Many are forced to adopt extreme survival strategies, including fleeing the country. Over 8 million Venezuelans have fled the country since 2014. You may be asking yourself, why I live in the United States? Why should I care what's going on in Venezuela? Well, the people in Venezuela have been starving for over 15 years. These are real human beings just like me and you, and they need our help. Because of this, we have a moral obligation to help them. You're probably asking yourself why you should listen to me. I have done extensive research on the crisis in Venezuela, and I have a friend who fled Venezuela. Because of this, I can assure you I'm a credible source of information on this topic. Allow me to explain the crisis in Venezuela in further detail. Um, a global conflict tracker on the instability of Venezuela explains, formerly one of the wealthiest countries in South America, a sharp decline in oil prices in the early 2010s plunged Venezuela into a downward spiral, engulfing the country in deep political and economic crisis that persists today. Following the death of socialist leader Hugo Chavez in 2013, his hand-picked predecessor, Nicolas Maduro, attempted to curb Venezuela's economic collapse by printing more money, pushing the country into years-long hyperinflation. In addition to inflation, Venezuela is faced with political corruption. A BBC News article states tensions in Venezuela are high after a government-controlled electoral authority declared Nicolas Maduro the winner of the presidential election, granting him a third consecutive term. A AP News article on Venezuela claims the election, which took place in July 2024, was neither fair nor free, and Nicolas Maduro was sworn in January for another 6-year term, despite credible evidence that the opposition got more votes. A WOLA article on Venezuelan crisis states the UN fact-finding mission on Venezuela documented serious human rights violations and determined it has reasons to believe crimes against humanity have been committed in pursuance of a policy to silence or oppress individuals in opposition of the government. Crime has also skyrocketed in Venezuela. Venezuela has one of the highest crime rates in the world. However, most reported crimes are not prosecuted, and the Venezuelan government does not report honest crime statistics. The UVV murder rates rose from 20 per 100,000 people to 80 per 100,000 people between 1998 and 2018. That's a 400% increase in 20 years. Kidnappings also rose from 27 to 1,150 between 1989 and 2011. That's a 1,716.42% increase over 22 years. Not only do Venezuelans have to worry about crime, they also have poor access to health care. A 2025 World Report article on Venezuela states the Venezuelan humanitarian organization Convite estimated that some essential medicines were unavailable at 28.4% of pharmacies, and those that were available were unaffordable to many. Preventable disease has also ravaged the country due to poor access of health care. Um, although Venezuela was the first country to become malaria-free, malaria cases have risen from 50,000 to 300,000 between 2010 and 2016. If poor access to healthcare wasn't bad enough, Venezuelans are also starving. A 2025 World Report article on Venezuela says Venezuelans face hunger, which affects 5.1 million people. The UN Special Rapporteur on rights of food identifies economic sanctions and political instrumentalization of state food programs as factors hindering the realization of rights to food. The report further explains the ongoing humanitarian crisis forces many to adopt extreme survival strategies, including stretching their budget, increasing their workload, skipping meals, exchanging goods for sex, and fleeing the country. It's obvious that Venezuela has a serious problem, but solving these issues is far from easy. Donating to the Red Cross organization is the first solution that comes to mind because they've been trying to give humanitarian aid to Venezuela for years. However, this is not a viable solution until the Venezuelan government acknowledges the crisis. In the past, President Maduro has refused foreign humanitarian aid from organizations such as the Red Cross. And the Venezuelan government needs to admit that the people of Venezuela need help and accept foreign humanitarian aid. Allow me to paint a picture of what the world would look like if the Venezuelan government accepted humanitarian aid. If President Maduro acknowledged the crisis, the Venezuelan military could allow organizations such as Red Cross to deliver humanitarian aid to Venezuela. Venezuelans that don't know when their next meal would be would have their fair share of food. Helping every Venezuelan seems like an impossible task, but if we can still try our best to help as many people as possible. I'm sure this has been an overwhelming amount of information for you, so allow me to summarize it for you. Venezuela has been in an economic crisis since 2010. This is compounded with food insecurity, healthcare unavailability, political corruption, and crime. The people of Venezuela need our help. However, little can be done until the Venezuelan government acknowledges the crisis and accepts foreign humanitarian aid. I urge all of you to spread awareness on the crisis in Venezuela and, if you are able, donate to organizations such as Red Cross. With your help and the help of humanitarian organizations, hopefully the people of Venezuela can get the help they desperately need. These are my sources, and thank you for listening.